everybody. First on the agenda is the United States Postal Service, and Joe Cece's here to talk to us.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing the U.S. Postal Service to be on your agenda today. My name is Joseph Cece, and I'm an architect engineer, part of the Facilities Department of the U.S. Postal Service. I am substituting today for Ms. Bobby Hergenretter, who could not attend today. She's the real estate specialist assigned to this project. With me here this afternoon are John Rasmussen, the Postmaster of Council Bluffs, and Michael Monington, Manager of Post Office Operations that covers this geographic area. My goal for this meeting and this briefing is to keep it short and sweet. I am here to formally announce that the Postal Service has an approved project to replace the existing main post office in Council Bluffs. The Postal Service is planning to relocate retail and delivery services because we are a tenant of the General Services Administration, commonly known as GSA, subleasing space from them. GSA has announced that they intend to terminate their overall lease for the property they and we are co-located in by December of 2017. The project that has been approved requires the Postal Service to look for approximately 16,750 net square feet of space in an existing building, which could serve as the new Council Bluffs main post office. An additional important requirement is adequate parking for our customers, employees, and delivery vehicles. The total on-site parking requirement is for 167 vehicles. Our preferred area has been identified within the following boundaries: East Broadway to the north, Highways 92 and 275 to the south, Valley View Drive and Franklin Avenue to the east, and South Expressway to the west. The Postal Service will consider locations outside of these boundaries within the City of Council Bluffs, but this is the defined preferred area. The first step in making this proposed project a reality was to advise the City of Council Bluffs of our plan and request being added to today's agenda. Thank you for being so accommodating. Today, we are here to reach out to the community and welcome their input. For the next 30 days, starting today, everyone present and everyone not present as well has the opportunity to submit written comments to us regarding concerns, possible locations, or to ask questions about the project or the approval process. Shortly thereafter, the Postal Service will send a letter to the Mayor's office, which will take into account any written comments we receive, as provided in your handouts. I've got a pile of handouts there on the bench, which I'll leave, which have contact information and a brief summary of the project for anyone who wants to have a copy to take with them. In that letter to the Mayor's office, there will be information on how to appeal the project should any person object to our proposed move. If there are no written objections or written appeals received within 30 days of sending the letter to the Mayor's office, the next stage will be to search for space that may accommodate the new post office. The Mayor's office, by letters sent from Ms. Hergenretter or the post office, will be kept informed each step of the way, including sites under consideration and ultimately the selected site of the new post office. However, this process can take several months to complete. Once the site is selected, we will proceed to build out the space in preparation for opening for business. Depending on the space, this build-out could take 6 to 8 months. Our goal is to have retail and delivery services relocated by December of 2017. In closing, I want to thank everyone on the City Council for attending and letting us be on their agenda, and for the members of the public who are present here as well. It is important to the Postal Service to receive input from our customers and the communities we serve. At this time, I would be happy to try and answer any questions the City Council or the general public may have, starting with the City Council.
Any questions for Mr. Cece?
Just to ask the obvious question, what about the other facilities that are located in that facility that's controlled by GSA?
GSA has told us they're terminating their lease and relocating all their operations.
So I would think that no decisions have been made on relocating those other activities.
I don't think GSA doesn't own that building anymore.
No, GSA does not own the building. It's a leased property.
And so all the other tenants would, whoever manages the building would be bound to the existing leases.
Yeah.
If they're GSA tenants, then GSA will assist them in finding new space. If they're non-GSA tenants, I don't know how that works.
Okay.
I'll open it to any questions from the general public then. Sir?
Just wondered, semis, how many, you said how many cars or vehicles?
be store semi-trailers on the site?
Not storing it on site. Is it just adequate space for backing of a tractor trailer would be adequate?
How long the lease is? Generally, when we lease a new property, it has a 10-year base and a 10-year option. But that's not written in stone. That's generally.
Looking at one property or two or three properties at one time, you guys are looking at kind of putting satellite businesses that not
At this point, we're looking for one combined facility. That's our preferred solution.
loading dock.
Yes, the loading docks are required.
Loading docks or
Yes,
which is something.
I will have to check and I will get back to you. Any other questions from the general public? Okay, so I've got a contact information sheet. On the back of it is a mailing address. All comments from the community or from the city need to be directed to Mr. Hergenretter at the address provided. I assume the city already has that information.
Should we,
I've got plenty. I can
Leave
leave
them
them
right there, I'd leave them right there for people
All
to
right,
take
I'll
when
just
they go.
right here then.
Marks, can you email us one of them so we can put it like on our pages, maybe? Should we? Yeah, I'll grab it then. Yeah, can we have one of them and then Marks can make a copy and that way we can share this too, because that might help.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Cece? All right,
Okay,
thanks so
thank you all
much.
very much for your time.
Next up on the agenda is Advanced Southwest Iowa, Paula Hazelwood.
Hi,
Hello,
how are you guys today?
good, how are you?
Good. So I think last time I was here, I was the interim director for Advanced Southwest Iowa, and I guess now, yeah, everybody's like, everybody's leaving. So last time I was here, I was the interim director for Advanced Southwest Iowa, and effective September 1st, I am actually the executive director for Advanced Southwest Iowa. So as we've moved forward with some board changes and some transition, I wanted to come in and give you an update. And this is something I'll probably do at least on a quarterly basis. If we have a lot of project work going on, it might be a little bit more consistent than that. So just wanted to let you know a few things. So with our partnership, the Greater Omaha Partnership, we set goals each year that we follow, and I wanted to give you an update on how those goals are going, our benchmarks. So going into the year, we had a goal of landing 60 projects, and that's both on the attraction, new to market, and retention side. And the whole partnership right now, we've landed 89 projects, so well over the 60 goal that we had. I can tell you that 11 of those projects have been landed here in Council Bluffs. Bob and his team have worked on those projects, and I'm sure he can probably come up here and talk about a few of those as we move forward. The capital investment goal was $600 million. We're at about $575 million right now as it sits. So about 75 of that is in Council Bluffs area. We are a little bit shy of our goal, but we have a couple of projects that we know that are fairly substantial that'll land before the end of the year, so we'll exceed that goal as well. We had a goal of 1,200 new positions, and we're at 435, so we've exceeded that goal. And then retained positions, we had a goal of 1,200, and we're at about 1,800 positions that we've retained, and that's throughout the entire region. And then so we like to get out and visit with our existing businesses. I mean, they are the base of our community, and that's probably where you're going to see the majority of your capital investment and job growth happen. And so going into the year, we had a pretty substantial goal of going out and meeting in person with 600 businesses, and we have achieved that goal for the year. So that's pretty promising. And, you know, with the landed projects, about half of those are retained or existing businesses, and about half of those are new market companies. And so when I took over over the organization in September, you know, at a couple of the board meetings, we had talked about what our focus was going to be. And we did adjust that. I just wanted to let you know the areas of focus that we're looking at. So business retention and expansion is probably going to be one of the main goals that we look at. Bob has been doing business retention for the city of Council Bluffs for a lot of years, and so him and I have been working together and actually sharing some of those projects. So I think moving forward, you'll probably see me up here talking about some of the expansion projects as well as the new market projects. Business attraction is another main focus. So companies that we don't currently have in the market, we are going to be looking at going out and attracting them, probably in food processing, the financial services, information technology are some of the areas that we would be focusing on. And then a couple of the other areas, which is talent retention and attraction. Advanced Southwest Iowa doesn't primarily focus on that, but we will be working with Bob and his team. Lori Shields at the Council Bluffs Chamber currently focuses on talent. So if I'm out there visiting with a company, typically when you're out there, and you guys know this, you all work in businesses, talent is the first thing that surfaces. We can't find the talent that we need. How do we recruit? How do we retain? And so when I have those questions, then I would be going back to Lori or also our talent team at the Greater Omaha Partnership for guidance and assistance on how to help those companies recruit the individuals that they need. And then entrepreneurship, Chrissy Plunkett works on that out of Bob's team. And so again, as we're out there talking to companies, if we find out, you know, it is a company that falls into that entrepreneurial mode, then I would be referring that individual to Chrissy. And our Greater Omaha Partnership is putting together a new entrepreneurial model that will be launched very shortly. And so I'm sure Chrissy will probably plug into that initiative as well, so we can offer that here in Council Bluffs in Southwest Iowa. So those are the areas. And probably one of the other biggest things that I want to focus on is making sure that Southwest Iowa is plugged into all of the initiatives that the Greater Omaha Partnership is participating in. There's a lot of things going on. We don't necessarily need to recreate the wheel on everything, but we need to definitely plug into those initiatives, such as the Career Rocket program you guys have probably all heard about. I don't know if Sarah Moylan has been in here and done a presentation on that, but she will be. She'll be coming in, and basically it's providing students in high school experiences with the companies that we have. So we have a goal of reaching 10,000 students over a 1-week period in April, and of those 10,000, I want 1,000 of those to be in Southwest Iowa. And so Lori Shields will be focusing on that, and we'll be helping her promote that as we move forward. So let's talk about projects a little bit. So since I've been in the interim position and then now the full-time executive director, the projects that I've been tracking, we've opened 22 new files. So we've had 22 new projects come to us in that time period. Of those projects, 14 of those are still active, meaning I'm still doing something with them to move the project forward to land them in Southwest Iowa. So within that, within the 22 companies, these are the areas they fall into. So logistics, we've had 5 logistical companies look at us. We're still working with 3 of them. We have 2 mixed-use developments. One of them is River's Edge. One of them is the Entertainment District. Obviously, we're still working with them in the early stages, trying to figure out how we want to promote and what type of companies we want to recruit to those areas. We have 2 data centers that are looking at us, and they are still looking at us. Those projects are very much alive and well. We have 3 medical companies right now that are still active and looking at us. We have 1 service company that is going to be doing about a $6 million expansion, and so that is definitely very active, and we will be coming back and getting in front of you regarding some incentives on that in December. We have 2 retail companies that we've worked with. One of them is still active. We've had 6 manufacturing companies look at us, and only 1 of those is still active. And I can tell you why. It's because we don't have the sites, the shovel-ready sites that they need, and so I'll talk about that in a minute. And then we have 1 fairly substantial office project that is still looking. So 14 active projects, all in a lot of different industries, but all very good companies, and hopefully we'll be able to land all of those moving forward. It will not be this year. We'll probably land 2 of them yet this year, but the rest of them will go into first quarter of 2017. And in addition to that type of work, we've also had meetings with 3 different developer groups. So trying to get developers interested in the city of Council Bluffs in southwest Iowa. And so Bob and I and a consortium of other people, the mayor and Wendy Schultz, we met with a couple groups 2 months ago, I believe. So Greenleaf Development out of Lincoln, they primarily focus on industrial development. And then also Schaefer Richardson out of Minneapolis. They primarily do housing, but they do some industrial development as well. And they have partnered with Greenleaf before, so the 2 of them have done some mixed-use developments together. And then we also met with Tetrad out of Omaha not very long ago to talk to them about their interest, specifically in Council Bluffs. So a lot of activity on that avenue, but site development probably is the #1 priority that we'll be focusing on. South Point Business Park and the work that Bob and the Industrial Foundation has done over the course of the last several years to get that property, I would say, shovel ready. We promote that site. That's probably the site that we submit the most to industrial and clean technology projects, I would say. The 2 data center projects that I talked about previously, both of them want to be located very close to Google, as you can imagine, for reasons. They have reasons. And so that site would be conducive to their needs, and it would be nice if we could site both of them on that property. So we'll move forward. That's what we're trying to promote with them. And then we have a lot of sites on Veterans Memorial that would also be suited for commercial or clean technology type projects. And so I have submitted those sites to some of these projects that I mentioned previously. A couple of the other sites that we're focusing on in Council Bluffs, the Nebraska Avenue site, I already talked about River's Edge and the Entertainment District. I will tell you that we had a a meeting with the property and business owners of the Entertainment District on November 2nd. It was very well attended, and we talked about moving forward what the vision for that area would be, and we're going to actually schedule a design charrette in mid-January where we invite those groups back in and start kind of funneling down the items that, and obviously the city is going to be involved in that you would like to see located in that area. So that's, to me, pretty exciting. The Shopco building, with the announcement in Marketplace that would be closing sometime in the near future, I did go in and ask them if they had a date, and they said basically when we liquidate our merchandise. And so I've already sent that to a prospective client. That building, I think, is probably a little smaller than they're looking for, but at least, we're getting that building out. And then also, I'd still like to look at the 107 acres east of the Iowa Western side. I know the infrastructure on that side is a little bit difficult, but I think that's something that should be addressed in the near future. So we do have additional sites ready, because once South Point is filled, and I think that we will be able to get that filled relatively quickly, then we need 2, 3, 4 more sites to have in our inventory so we can entertain additional clients, or even existing businesses that are landlocked. They need a larger facility, they need larger acres. We have to have a place to put them if we want to continue to grow and grow the tax base. And then also, as you know, Harrison County, Mills County, and Western Iowa Development Agency, so Greater Pot, they're umbrellaed under Advanced Southwest Iowa. And so it's our intention also to have a go-ready site in each of their county locations. So we've identified some sites off of Highway 370 for Mills. We've identified a site in Neola and a site in Underwood that we'll be focusing on as we move forward. And then just miscellaneous items. Advanced Southwest Iowa, we do have a new website. We are having MSpace take a final look at the content of that right now before we officially launch. I will tell you that one of the biggest accomplishments is all of the site and building information has been updated thanks to my good friend Cheryl Garst. We contracted with her to do that, and everything is 100% complete and up to date, which means we should start getting some additional inquiries from site selectors and IEDA. A couple of the other things, we are going to go down the path with the Greater Omaha Partnership to revise all of our marketing materials. When they send out RFPs and RFIs for projects, I want us to, and not only us, but all of the partners within the partnership to be well represented and to have all of the information as accurate as possible, which for all of you that are in business and run a business, you know how hard that is to keep, and we work in a lot of data. So it's an ongoing endeavor to keep all of that accurate and up to date, but that's the route that we're going to go with in 2017. We will be having a 2017 program of work retreat for our partners on December 2nd. As soon as we have that done, it'll go to, we have our final board meeting on December 9th. That program of work will be presented to our board of directors, and then we will push it out to all of you to take a look at as well, just so you know what our goals and objectives are. And I would say too that I've reached out to a few of you. I would love to have some of you attend our board meetings if you're at all able to do so. They're typically the third Friday of each month at 10 a.m. And so let me know if you're interested in attending. I'd love for you to come in and kind of see what we're all about and meet some of the advanced board members. So for 2017, the numbers that we have right now I think are fairly solid, but I do see those numbers doubling at least. I do think that a lot of the projects that I talked about, we do have a fairly good shot of landing those here in Council Bluffs or Southwest Iowa. And so 2017 should be really good. And Bob actually wanted to talk about a few of his initiatives, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thanks, Paula. Good afternoon. Paula's doing a great job of reaching out and getting her job done, and I appreciate working with her. We've got a couple of things that in the business assistance retention expansion areas that we're also working on. Paula mentioned the MAC development area. We're working in conjunction with her in Southwest Iowa on that. But we're also looking at West Broadway and how we might be able to form some type of a coalition along West Broadway to help in the redevelopment of West Broadway, keeping those merchants informed about what's going on, making sure that they have a say in what's developed on West Broadway, et cetera. And then thirdly, our South Point 2 Industrial Park, which is the park that Paula talked about south of FedEx. We've got about 94 acres there that's now fully serviced with storm sewers. We're looking at Gifford Road. The DOT application went in for RISE money to create, or to at least partially complete Gifford Road. So we have that service-ready site available. So we're really working on that and getting that basically site-ready for any prospects that want to take a look at that. So our priorities really are business outreach and assistance to those businesses. Again, infrastructure improvement and then land development in those areas. We're also working on some interesting projects in the small business and entrepreneurial area. One of those, working in conjunction with the iOS Foundation and the Omaha Chamber on the food incubator out in the old famous Dave's building, working to develop that. We should have that up and running hopefully by January of 2017, so we'll have some people in there working on that. They're under construction right now, so we'll start to see some things going on in that building hopefully the first month of next year. We've also got an assessment going on right now. The University of Northern Iowa is doing an assessment to kind of take a look at the entrepreneurial culture here in Council Bluffs in the area to figure out who are those people, who are the people that are looking at developing their own businesses, starting new companies and those types of things, and what can we do to better identify them and assist those in those efforts. And so that assessment is being undertaken right now. We should have the results of that hopefully January, February of 2017, and we'll take the results of those and start to incorporate those. One of the things that we believe is going to come out of that is some type of a startup innovation studio where we can look at a specific area where people can come in and start their business and really get the help and the assistance that they need in order to get over that first hurdle of starting their own business and making sure that they have their business plan put together, kind of a one-stop shop for all that kind of stuff so that they're able to get that business up and running by itself and get that off to a particular start. And then after that, maybe look at some type of an incubator that is dealing with those startup companies other than the food incubator. So again, some type of an incubation process there, going through that, and then really coupling that with a startup campaign, really area-wide to figure out, again, how do we bring those people out of the woodwork to start those companies. Paula mentioned workforce solutions. Right now we're working on an assessment on that as well, kind of looking at skill gaps. Where are those skills? What are the types of skills that companies are looking for? And how can we then start to work with Iowa Western Community College, our school system, Metro Community College, anybody out there to really start addressing those skills that those companies need? How can we take those those high school kids, those college kids, and incorporate them into those particular skill set types that our companies are looking for. So we anticipate that at some point in time, we'll be doing some type of a campaign to outreach, not just to the local community, but also to the alumni community, the people that have graduated from AL, TJ, St. Albert's, Lewis Central, Iowa Western Community College. How can we reach out to those graduates that may have been gone 5 to 10 years and ask them to come back here for those jobs that are available here? So some type of an outreach program being put together to, again, try to market ourselves more to bring more people back here. And lastly, certainly not least, we're going to be involved in the public policy side, and I've got a handout here that I can pass out to all of you about the legislative coffees. And on the 15th of February, we'll be going down to Des Moines again to talk with our legislators. All of you are invited to that. We'll probably be taking a bus down for that. Again, it'll be 5 to 7 at the Embassy Suites down in Des Moines on the 15th of February. We will have most of our legislators there. It's early enough in the session that we believe that there won't be as many caucus meetings and those types of things, so we'll be able to have that be well attended. It's a great opportunity to talk with your legislators. We'll also have our weekly legislative coffees again, starting the last Saturday in January. Those will be at Wilson Middle School, again in the auditorium there. So we'll be able to visit with our legislators there as well. We have looked at and will be doing the first part of 2017 a candidate academy, and in the candidate academy, it's kind of a 3-session opportunity for people interested in running for office to come in and learn what is it really about running for office, what types of things do you need to know, how do you file your papers, how do you conduct fundraising campaigns, how do you get out and campaign. I mean, all those things are things that sometimes are kind of a barrier for people to get into those particular things, and we want to take down that barrier and hopefully get a few more people interested in running for public office, whether it be city council, county board, state seats, school boards, anything along those lines, to get more people active in that public policy process. We believe that that's indicative and needs to happen over the course of the next several years in order to continue to get good qualified candidates into office. And lastly, we're looking at an advanced leadership program kind of to complement our Leadership Council Bluffs program. We're going into our 29th year next year for Leadership Council Bluffs, and we want to make sure that that continues and that we continue to develop our leadership. So some type of advanced leadership program, probably in the middle to maybe the fall of next year, getting that program up and running. Again, looking at ways that we can continue to develop our people in those leadership roles and continue to really encourage them to be a part, an active part of our community process. So those are some things that we're working on in conjunction with Paula, making sure that we coordinate our efforts together, put the best foot forward that we can, and really looking at how can we better get the word out about Council Bluffs and really the great things that we're doing here, and working on that together, not only internally but externally. So we appreciate your help and assistance in that. I feel you guys are doing a great job in helping us to do that, and appreciate all the hard work that you guys do.
Do you have any questions for me regarding the economic development?
That you're going to give us a little more information on manufacturing and you know, you said 7 businesses, but
Yeah.
I kind of think that maybe is an area we can compete in, because Iowa doesn't have a machinery and equipment tax, and Nebraska does, which helps balance out the property tax inequity.
Right, and I think, Mayor, it all comes down to the availability of sites right now. And I think once we take some of our sites through the Go Ready process and have them virtually ready, it'll be a lot easier sell, exactly for what you just said. But we haven't had that. I mean, South Point, and it's limited in the number of acres. I mean, typically those are looking for, you know, larger acre numbers than what we readily have available. So I think that's going to remedy itself, but it's going to take a little while to get those sites up and ready and through the Go Ready process. But that's something we're definitely going to work on.
I probably get questions once or twice a week on the status of XTL. Have you heard anything from Kenneth recently as to where they might be at?
We have. Actually, Bob and I talked about that this morning, and he had a telephone conversation with him this afternoon. And basically, we're waiting for some paperwork for him to sign and return to the city regarding the developers agreement. And then I will say, We haven't gotten official notice regarding their financing, but I do believe that he informed Bob that that is all moving forward. So, you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, so I met with Ken this afternoon, over the phone, I should say, I met with him, I visited with him over the phone, and as Paula said, there's some forms that need to be signed to get back here to Dick, and dealing with the development agreement, that agreement had to be modified because of the dates and those types of things, because we're delayed so much, and so I think that, correct me if I'm wrong here, Dick, but we need to maybe check with bond counsel to make sure that that doesn't affect negatively any of the bonds and stuff that we would be doing on that. And then once that process is done, then the bank financing will be finalized, and then that should come back to this council hopefully on the 18th of December for your final approval on that new development agreement going forward. That's
Basically, for the council, the change in development agreement, because it took so long to get this out of the ground, it's taking the first year of the TIF payment and moving it to the back.
Moving it back, yep, exactly.
we want to make sure that bond counsel is okay with that. So that's where we're at today. That's the latest I've heard from him as of 2 o'clock this afternoon. So.
And I know he was in town, not last week, but the week prior, meeting with the new GC and some of the subcontractors. So to me, that's good news. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to the agenda. Anything on the consent agenda?
Just a way of asking, scheduling a public hearing for 3E for the West Broadway reconstruction project. And what we're being asked to consider after that public hearing is a resolution approving plans and specifications. At the same time, I think there's a public education effort being made, and public meetings are scheduled for December the 6th to discuss the project and provide information to the public. And I was just going to ask what the tentative plans are, what kind of information is going to be available to the public at that meeting, since they won't have the plans and specifications there. They'll be, I guess, those can only be accessed according to the agenda at the city clerk's office. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah. So the focus of the meeting will be construction phasing and basically disruption to the businesses and the traffic, so we can explain the structure of the project. But we will have the plans there.
Okay.
They won't be final approved, but they'll be the 95%. Really, they're going to be 99% plans and specs. The only thing missing will be your final approval, basically. But our intent is to have the documents ready to go at that meeting. So we'll take input as far as, here's our challenges in construction, but it's not really, we have advice on the plans, because the plans are pretty much final. We've coordinated with all the businesses in the development of those plans. We continue to discuss access and right of entries to their property to build the project. So everybody on the corridor has been spoken one-on-one at this point, but it's more of an opportunity for those that haven't had that opportunity to learn about the project.
In phase one?
Phase one only.
Great. So it's primarily informational. You're not necessarily asking for any input back from the public, but you're wanting to get information out as to what's going to happen during the actual construction process itself.
Correct. So people have an idea of timing, when the project will occur, how it's going to look, where the detours are, those type of things. So that they'll be ready in the spring to experience the actual project.
I know it's been discussed previously that there are a number of businesses that have concerns. That most of those appear to circle around later segments of that construction. But obviously, there's a lot of information involved in a project like this. So, what's the plan to kind of provide the public with information on those types of detailed questions that they think are going to come up?
Well, at the public meeting
Yeah,
on the December 6th,
Uh-huh.
on future phases?
No, not on future phases. This one, I'm saying future phases, we know that there are businesses that are going to be impacted by that. Could be some impact in the segment one, but obviously a process like this involves a lot of information and impacts a number of property owners and even homeowners in the area. So what's going to be the mechanism for providing people who come in on that meeting on the 6th of December with information specific to their particular situation?
So there'll be multiple forms of communication at the meeting. There'll be approximately a 3-minute video that walks them through the construction staging and tells them how the project will be built, so they can stop at a little kiosk area with a TV and watch that video. We'll have the plans themselves. We'll have some scroll maps, so basically the three, about 2,000 feet, 3 blocks of project, all linear, and that they can look at and touch and feel, and have the project engineers, project managers there to explain their specific location. We'll also have the big boards that are basically like slides that have general information and summary type points that they'll be able to walk around and review as well. So hopefully, with the combination of having the people that are knowledgeable on the project in the room with all those different types of communication, they can find their answer.
Okay. And we have talked to all the businesses that are affected in phase segment one, phase one, whatever the case is. And one of the things we want to help is to let the general public know that these businesses are still open for business and they will be able to access the business, and it will take some patience, but we want to encourage customers to continue to patronize these businesses through this tough time, because each year will create some difficulty for those businesses, and so hopefully we'll set the tone in phase one, and people will understand better in phase 2 through 5. So.
When will Avenue A switch over? I've had that question a lot.
Right. At this point, the plan is not till we're done with all 5 phases of construction. So it would function the way it does today until after West Broadway is complete, then we would look at that conversion. Again, circumstances could
As contrary to what's been said, there will be no deletion of any parking along Avenue A. Parking will continue to be on both sides of the street. Personally, I think we ought to do it before. I've made that statement before, but it's not my call, really, because I think that makes it easier for
Access businesses.
Yeah.
Agreed.
We've said all along that we're going to learn a lot during the actual construction of this phase one. How Avenue A performs could be one of those other items that we learn from during this phase, or segment one, excuse me. And that may cause us to move that date up or have that discussion of, does it make more sense to convert Avenue A sooner? But the initial plan, based on the master plan and all discussions we've had to date, is that would occur after the 5th phase was completed.
Is there any way to put up, like temporary cameras? Remember how they were at Bayless Park during that construction? Is there any way for us to do something like that during, to kind of keep an eye on phase one so we can really monitor, how consumers responded, where those cars went, whether or not it looked like people were confused? I just think it would be helpful to see if people were able to maneuver through that, and if it would be helpful in seeing if anything can be done different in segment 2.
Well, we have some of our pay and tilt zoom cameras on the traffic signals, which allow us to monitor traffic beyond just the traffic signal itself. We could look at potentially aiming those in certain areas where we could observe traffic flows. I guess that's a possibility. Other than that,
on High Point that I can think of. They're really in the High Point, a tall building.
Yeah, we'd have to probably work with private property owner if we wanted to mount it on somebody's building.
I can't think of anything in that segment that's more than 2 stories high.
I can't either. Yeah, it just would be really helpful if, we had some video record of the movements and how well it went or what things didn't work.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get plenty of feedback.
I'm sure you will.
Is the
interesting to watch though online, like with the park, you could not only see potential problems, but if somebody just wanted, they were curious, I don't know, I found it interesting to look at, what's the progress in the park this week? It was, they're paying for it, they might want to just look, they're curious, instead of everybody going down to drive and look-see, which is a little bit more of a problem, even though obviously they have the right to do it.
Well, time duration cameras are pretty common, where it basically takes a photo every day from the same point daily, or every 6 hours, or you can set those durations. But in order to monitor traffic, we'd have to have it live, basically, or
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, was
constant
the live
monitoring.
stream, where people, you can look at it, we can jump on and look at it. People can, I mean, they were doing that with Bayless, but it'd be nice, because I could say, well, you know what, how bad is it down there? Do I want to avoid that area? Let me just jump on and check the camera. It just seems like if we can do it, there could be a lot of uses for it.
We can certainly look at that option. I don't know what those things cost, so we can review it and see what options are out there and what costs would be involved.
I don't know if Larry's here, he's got information on how it was done at Bayless, but that would be helpful.
Any other questions? Thank you. Anything else on the consent agenda? Anything on the public hearings? Resolutions?
I have a question on D, if nobody has anything before that.
Go ahead, and we can always go back.
Okay. I'm just curious on the abolishing of the one position for electronics technician and combining that and having a larger position. Are there people in both of those jobs now, and are we going to lose an employee that's already employed? How's that going to work?
Both positions are occupied. There are people in both. Both would be eligible to apply for that job or any other job that the city has open, which there are several open now, including a traffic signal technician. One of the two, about a year ago, was talking about retiring soon. It had set no date, but that employee is eligible for retirement. So again, those folks are being encouraged to apply for other city positions.
And they have bumping rights.
Now, the only time you have bumping rights is if you held that position before
You can
you
bump
left
that.
it and came back to it. Folks didn't have other positions.
That's it. That was my only question. I just wanted to understand who was involved in.
So there,
Sorry, so if they don't retire, are we terminating them, or what? Sorry, I said that.
Until he said so.
The positions will remain in place until the new position is filled, and then the two old positions will be abolished, and at that time, if they're still there, then they will be dismissed.
other questions on the resolutions? Anything on the agenda in general? All right, we'll see at 7 o'clock.
There was.
Oh, we have executive session, you're right, I'm sorry.
Motion to go into executive session for right-of-way acquisition.
Second.
Council Bluffs Savings Bank, you still get personalized customer service.
We have identity safe checking with LifeLock, identity theft protection.
You get personal mortgage lending to fit your needs now and in the future.
You get business banking with the latest technology, because saving you time saves you money.
In Council Bluffs Savings Bank, you get people who answer when you call and local employees who are actively involved in our community. Council Bluffs Savings Bank, home